Well, it's coming back, gloom and doom, as we have another weather system that's passing by to our south and some onshore flow, and you know what that means. Uh, Not a pleasant Thursday ahead, certainly from the standpoint of clouds. And while we'll catch a break after that, I'm sorry, Wednesday into Thursday. Uh, we'll catch a break on Friday, but then we have another system that almost looks like this one that'll be coming for later Saturday and Sunday. So there's more gloom and doom. But two people that aren't gloom and doom are myself and Joe Rayo. And, well, you can,
Hello.
yes, and we can see him now on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is brought to you by Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. You can run it on your mobile device, and it's easy to install. But if you do decide to purchase this or anything else, don't forget to use the coupon code SPRING 2024, because if you do, you will get
10 big percent off. It is big.
it's large.
I'm sorry about my hair.
Oh, it's fabulous. What did you do to it?
It's all puffed up.
Yes. What did you do to it? Did you
I
stand
don't
under did you like put the blow dryer to it, or was there a big gust of wind that came along?
know. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Oh my goodness, this is like like Jason Fox, the Doc Brown
Makeup, makeup. Where's
makeup."
makeup and hair? Get hair in here.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, the world we live in. So, here we are, and getting ready to go back into the soup a bit. And not that we're going to get a whole lot of rain, although you look at the radar to the south and you wonder about that. But most of that, the heaviest rain should slide to the south and east. But there'll be some rain, and there'll be a lot of clouds, and it'll be another one of those lovely spring days that we've gotten so used to in here in the Northeast. And then after a brief pause, we'll probably get another round of gloom and doom for the weekend.
I want to point out also, just off weather for a second, William Huber, Joe Rayo looks great. Your hair piece or hair piece. A lot of people when I was on News 12 used to say, "Is that really his hair? Is that really his?" And one time I was at this um, thing in New Rochelle, Joe. It was a meet and greet, and a woman came up to me and actually said, "Is that really your hair?" And I remember on Miracle on 34th Street, the very first one, not the ones that came thereafter. I mean, they're talking about the ones with Edmund Gwynn playing the role of Santa Claus
Right, she had her pull his beard.
and Natalie Wood. And Natalie Wood didn't believe that it was his beard. He says, "Oh, go ahead, pull it." And she grabs the beard, pulls it, and oh, like that. And she's like, like that. So remembering that, again, this woman is asking me, "Is this really my hair?" And I said, "Oh, go ahead, pull it." I didn't realize, Joe, this woman went like this. She grabbed a big hunk of it and pulled for all she was worth, and ow, like that. "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." it, ouch, it hurt.
Little did she know that you put your hair on using bulldog cement.
Yes. Bulldog number three, right?
Right, holds on tight, lasts forever, cannot be removed can only
Bulldog.
be removed with bulldog cement remover number 3.
By the way, can you hear that?
Yes, it's Mr. Sweeney. I heard him. You didn't have to move the mic. We heard him.
Yeah.
What's he barking about?
Well, I know Renata's outside trying to do some weed whacking. I mean, everybody loves doing weed whacking at 7:40 in the
I was
evening.
going to say at 7:40 at night. Well, I guess.
And the dog, I think it has something to do with the fact that the dog is a rescue dog because whenever one or both of us leave the room or let's say go outside, the dog has to be with us, has to be with one of us. And I
Right.
guess he sees Renata outside now and oh, rah, rah, rah.
Well, JJ does that with me sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, it's funny because it depends on the time of the day. In the morning, after we come back from the dog park, If I bring them home, and then a lot of the times I'll go back out because I want to go to the gym or walk or whatever it is. I will tell him, I'll say, going out, I will be right, and I'll be right back. And I would say 9 times out of 10, I don't hear a thing. Okay. But if it's later in the afternoon and I say I'm going out and I'm coming right back, he starts barking like crazy because I'm not taking him with me. So, and he's also being a rescue. Maybe some of that is from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But no, they all, I really, I kind of wish I knew all the history before I got my dog. He was 2.5, and he's close to going to be 6 this year. Um, but I kind of wish that either they could talk or I could, know the full history of what he went through so that I could understand better, why he reacts to certain things the way he does, like, cars,
Hey,
for example. And
he's going crazy right now. I don't know what the hell's going on up there.
well, why doesn't he come down to stay with you?
He doesn't come down because he's not allowed to come down here.
Oh, I see.
When he comes
Well,
down here, he starts smelling around down here, and since it's relatively new still to him, you know, you don't know where he's going to leave a little present.
well, you want to mark his territory. Yeah, you don't want him to do that. Actually,
Yes,
JJ does what he always does. When it comes showtime, I come into the bedroom, I turn the light on, he comes into the bedroom, and he lays down and goes to sleep right by the bed.
right.
The whole
Well,
show. Doesn't
my,
make a sound.
my other dog, my Yorkie, he used to come down here. He was well behaved, and I have a chair over here, and he used to jump on the chair and used to curl up, and I had a companion while I was doing typing or doing work down here. Can't do that with Mr. Sweeney though. Mr. Sweeney has to be everywhere at once. So
Well,
anyway,
all
hey
right.
Joe, hey Joe.
Yes.
By the way, today the sunspot, which has been producing solar flares for the last few days, the sunspot is rotating now off the disk of the sun, out of our um, out of our view. But before it completely moved out, what a shot! What a parting shot today! Today there was an X 8.8 flare. I mean, I tell you, this was the largest flare of the current solar cycle. And let me tell you, if this one was facing us, if this was facing Earth, it would have made last week's aurora look like an appetizer. In fact, there are solar experts who say the fact that it was on the edge of the sun and moving around and out of sight, the fact that it came up as an 8.8 flare probably suggests that that was not the full scale strength of this thing. It probably would have been a lot stronger. And if that had been the case, we really may have been up without a, where without a paddle because a flare of this magnitude or better could have caused real problems in the overall power situation. It could have tripped a lot of breakers. It could have caused a real, not just so much we would have seen an incredible aurora display, but maybe in a way we're lucky that this thing was not aimed. However, if this sunspot continues to hold together and the area cluster of activity flares holds together, it will be re-emerging. I think I may have mentioned this yesterday. It'll be coming back around on the other side of the sun and moving back into view probably by the end of this month. So it'll be interesting to see if this thing holds together, and if it does, it may be a factor for us in early June. I can't even believe I'm talking about June already.
Well, I'm glad, we got what we got, which was, pretty spectacular, especially here in the South, because it just does, it never gets this far south anyway. Um, well, you know what? It's been a strange couple of years, and we keep seeing strange things happen. So who knows what's next? What could be next? Maybe a planet dislodges from its orbit, or
Yeah,
the moon separates and starts
yeah.
drifting away.
Well, no, let's not see something like that, or like that Twilight Zone episode where we suddenly have the Earth first, approaching the sun and then moving away from the sun.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
and we don't want that. Welcome
No.
to everybody tonight to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on this Tuesday night, the 14th of May. Tropical weather outlooks start tomorrow. And well, that's kind of where we're going here as we're headed toward hurricane season, although there's nothing going on, but uh, still, we'll bring the latest weather information to you as it comes, and our own never to be humble opinions. Hope everybody had a great day today on the chat board. See a lot of regulars. The regulars are on tonight. That's a good thing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss us because we're on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday when there's a storm around. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And if you like the show, by all means, hit the like button. Paul Reed on the chat board apparently, because he didn't get to see anything at Asbury Park as far as the solar storm last week. That apparently, because it didn't happen at Asbury, because he couldn't see it at Asbury Park. Um, it didn't happen at all. Uh, Maybe it's because it was a lot. It was overcast. Just putting that out there.
Now,
But
speaking of overcast, I mean, like that's going to be the story of the week, isn't it? I mean, starting now and probably right on through the end of the week into the weekend, sunshine is going to certainly be at a premium. Very limited sunshine, if any at all, between now and the end of this upcoming weekend, huh?
yeah, it does look that way. It looked at first that maybe Thursday and Friday would be okay. Now you got to wonder with this low, the way it moves offshore and just kind of lingers around, that it's going to be a tough fight to get the clouds out of the way. So you'll squeeze in a decent Friday, and the system for the weekend. Saturday, it almost looks exactly like this, where Saturday will be like today, where you'll just start to see sky conditions deteriorate as you go through the day, and then get into rain for Saturday night and Sunday. I'm sure that's going to make everybody happy if another weekend where it rains on at least one day. But that's kind of the pattern we're in. I was in gloom and doom until about maybe about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We had some rain, didn't have a lot. I actually went out walking at the park. I did my 6 miles today. I was very proud of myself. It was a little bit of rain coming down, just enough to get my sweatshirt wet, but nothing much more. And it actually got warmer here today. It was in the 60s. So yesterday you needed to turn the heat on because the in-house, outside temperatures were in the low and mid 50s all day, and the inside house temperatures were in the mid 60s, which I kind of like it that way, but at night, not necessarily um, uh, during the daytime. But this is it's that time of year, Joe. The spring, as we said, been saying for how long now? It's just a miserable time of year. It always is every year. I would say every 10 years or so, you get a spring where uh, you get a lot of nice weather and not a whole lot in the way of the onshore flow nonsense. But 9 years out of 10, you're gonna be in the soup for a good part of the time.
Yeah, I'm almost tempted, Joe, to let you continue talking for a little while. I kind of just want to go upstairs and see.
Go see what Mr. Sweeney is doing, and then I'll start off. We'll go with the watches and warnings tonight, which is actually there's not a whole lot from that standpoint. We've got one severe thunderstorm watch in central Tennessee and northern Alabama tonight. We have a couple of counties in North Carolina that are dealing with some flash flooding, and that really is about it. I mean, there's not a whole lot, there's not much else happening up and down the eastern seaboard, at least from the standpoint of extremes, because we don't have any watches and warnings up and out in the west. It's also pretty quiet. And as we check out the satellite loop tonight, the rotation is obvious in Missouri. That's the upper low that is moving eastward and holding its own. This is not an instance where the upper low, unlike last week when we had those severe weather events in the plains, where we were dealing with these upper lows that came out of the southwest and just strengthened as they lifted up northeastward. This one reached its peak. It's just kind of staying the same. It's not weakening very much, but it's not strengthening at all. It's just sort of holding its own. as it moves to the east. And you can see that the cloud plume has now pushed its way up into southern New England and into the lower and middle Hudson Valley. We've got just a couple of lightning strikes in parts of eastern North Carolina, and then offshore you can see them too. But you do see more in the way of lightning strikes tonight in central Tennessee and up down into northern Alabama, and also a few in southern Illinois and back through Missouri. And that's the cold upper low, uh, creating a very unstable atmosphere. And with the low tracking the way it is, just basically straight east, it puts it puts, I would say, southern areas of the Northeast and points south in a bit of a precarious position uh, for tonight, Thursday, Wednesday. I keep thinking that today's Wednesday. Wednesday into Wednesday night and Thursday. The problem with Thursday is this thing is moving so slowly. I mean, if you look on the loop, it's virtually in the same spot there over the last 5 hours. This is a 5 hour loop that we're looking at, and it's barely moved. Meanwhile, you don't have really a kicker system to the west that's pushing it along with any great force. We do have we have a disturbance moving across the northern Rockies and into parts of the northern plains, picking up a few lightning strikes there, but that is nothing major. And the weather is nice in Texas and in Louisiana at the moment after the rains of the last few days, the heavy rains there. And Florida had a pretty nice day, although some clouds are now starting to move in to the northern part of the state. So here's the radar, and it's actually fairly loaded. There's some rain aloft, and maybe some of this is reaching the ground now in parts of New Jersey, just off the south shore of Long Island, as of 7:53 p.m. Eastern time. We're seeing some rain in southeast Pennsylvania. Again, some of that's aloft, and some of that is reaching the ground. But you get further south, you have to get down. You get down to the southern parts of the Delmarva Peninsula and much of central and southern Virginia and North Carolina. You're seeing some steady and even some heavy rain there, and this is sliding on up to the northeast. Now, this is going to hold together to some extent, and then gradually start shifting more eastward than moving northward. But we'll keep an eye on it because it does look like a fairly solid area of rain here. And there's also some heavy rain and thunderstorms off the North Carolina coast. Meanwhile, we go to the west, and there's a line of thunderstorms through central Tennessee, bending back down into northern Alabama. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings popping up here and there. They just sort of come and go. It's not, we don't see, um, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 severe thunderstorm warnings popping up for now. It's just a couple, and there's one little flash flood warning up in north central Tennessee as well. See, there's also some rain in parts of Indiana and Ohio, and then reaching up into northwest Indiana and southern Michigan, and some scattered showers, and and maybe a rumble or two of thunder back through Missouri, and then out further west in the plains, you've got a smattering of showers from in the Dakotas. We've got some showers and a few thunderstorms also in parts of Colorado and Nebraska. Some showers and downpours down into New Mexico, northern Arizona, southern Nevada, southern Utah, and also up into parts of Wyoming and into Montana. The West Coast, except for a few showers in the Sierra Nevadas, looks pretty quiet. The Storm Prediction Center tonight, as you can see the blue box there, or sort of box, in central Tennessee and into northern Alabama. That is the severe thunderstorm watch that is up. It's inside an area of mostly slight risk for severe weather. We also have another small area of slight risk indicated in northern Florida, a little area of marginal risk in northern Vermont and New Hampshire. We've got marginal risk in the plains and back through the central Rockies, and also in parts of West Texas. And as we take a look at the tornado risk, it is it's 2% in the southeast and into the Tennessee Valley, and also a small area of 2% when you look up into parts of north central Nebraska and south central South Dakota. Now, the next couple of days, severe weather is not going to be overly widespread here. We do have areas of risk, though, tomorrow. Marginal risk in North Carolina, Southern Virginia, and South Carolina. Slight risk across central Florida with small areas of marginal risk on either side. We have a marginal to slight risk in the southern plains and even extending up into the central plains. And when we lay the tornado risk, it's area of 2% in parts of Oklahoma and south central Kansas, and a 5% area in central Florida. And that's, of course, with the storm system moving east the way it is and the trailing cold front. This is where we're getting our action. The greatest instability ahead of that cold front is going to be over Florida tomorrow. And then as we look on to day three, we're seeing a marginal risk in southern Missouri and a marginal risk from Louisiana on up into Oklahoma, back through much of east and central Texas. There's a slight risk in central Texas, and I'm sure when we get to tomorrow, we'll see what the tornado risk is. But I'm guessing that they'll probably have a 2 to 5% tornado risk being indicated there. Rainfall wise, over the next 7 days, now something must be going on at WPC because the Weather Prediction Center map is from 12Z this morning. Usually around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we get the 0Z update, but for some reason, it's not there. So I'm guessing that perhaps they were having some issues. But just going off the old forecast, the next 7 days showing more heavy rain from East Texas to Georgia, where we're seeing amounts of 2 to 3 inches and even a stripe of 3 to 5 inches in East Texas and West Central Louisiana. This is an area that's gotten just pummeled with rain lately, so that does not, they don't need it. There's probably going to be some flash flooding issues with this. We also have up to several inches of rain possible in parts of central and northern Florida, particularly in the area in the reddish there. That's about 2.5 to 3 inches along the Florida Big Bend and going northeast from there. In the northeast down to Virginia, from Maine down to Virginia, it's mostly anywhere from a half inch to 3/4 of an inch, a few pockets of an inch here and there. You see in northern New Hampshire and into parts of Maine, there's an area of an inch and a half. And then we also have 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half plus stretching back through the Ohio Valley into southern Missouri, southeastern parts of Kansas, and much of central and northeastern Oklahoma. Amounts tail off to a half to 3/4 on the upper Mississippi Valley in the northern Great Lakes. They tail off to about a quarter to a half when you move through the Dakotas and into the Rockies, with a few pockets there in some places where it's a little bit more. And the West remains on the quiet side. So I'm guessing Joe is still busy, busy, busy with the
No,
dog. So, are you
I've,
there?
I've been sitting here now for the past 5 minutes.
Oh, you should have jumped in and opened your mouth.
Well, I figured you'd be able to see me on
No,
your Zoom.
because when I'm doing maps, I can't see I got
Oh,
everything else is
well,
minimized.
you mentioned Florida a few moments ago, and I
I
should point
did.
that last night was a historic record heat night in Florida, the hottest night ever recorded in May. Minimum temperature for both Fort Lauderdale and Key West was 85. That's the low temperature, 80,
85.
85 degrees Fahrenheit. The hottest minimum ever recorded anywhere in the spring in the eastern United States. California and Arizona had higher temperature minimums, but 85 for Fort Lauderdale and Key West. Can you believe that,
No,
Joe?
that's disgusting. That's really disgusting. Paul Reed, I have two monitors. I have other stuff going on other monitors too. So I just, this was not. I didn't know Joe was going to step away from with the dog. So anyhow, oh, everybody's a producer, everybody's a director. It's
You
just
ought to hire.
amazing.
We ought to hire somebody to be a switcher.
Oh yeah, no, clearly, absolutely. We need a staff, Joe. Well, we
Yes.
clearly need hair and makeup, okay, but we need a staff. So we'll have to put out for a staff here. All right, looking forward, this upper low that is sitting over Missouri, this opens up and kind of weakens a bit as it moves eastward tonight and tomorrow, but that's not going to be helpful. If anything, that makes it a bit worse because it's a weaker system, it's slow moving. If it were stronger, maybe it would get out of the way a lot faster, but with the trough, it's still going to be hanging near the coast Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and then cutting off again off the New Jersey coast. So the key for Thursday is the low offshore lingering around is probably going to keep certainly coastal areas in clouds for a long period of time. This might be one of those days, Joe, where it starts to clear out maybe later in the day inland first, and then the coast is just sitting there waiting for it. Where is it? Where is it? And it seems like the clearing never gets there. All of this happening at the same time. We've got energy in the west that's dropping in. There's another upper low off the coast of California tonight that moves inland and then moves across Texas and Oklahoma, which is why you see the severe weather risk late in the week in that part of the world. That upper low is going to do pretty much what this one did. It's going to separate from the flow and just sort of mosey along. Saturday and Sunday move off the mid-Atlantic coast again, sometime Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. So we might have to wait until at least Monday for weather conditions to improve once they start deteriorating again on Saturday. And then longer range, I'm just kind of taking a look here. You do have, you got weather systems that, the northern part of the jet kind of changes a bit, a little more emphasis in the west. There's somewhat of a wrapped up cutoff that drops down from Canada into the Pacific Northwest and then swings into the Plain States sometime late next week. So, and that winds up going into the Western Lakes, and that might be a good omen for the Memorial Day holiday weekend if the trough gets back into the west for a little bit, and we stop having to deal with these cutoff lows. So we'll keep an eye on how that plays, and then we've got another stronger upper low that drops down toward the end of the forecast period. Nothing major here, but it's May, it's mid-May, and when does the switch get flipped for summertime? I don't know. Typically, usually around Father's Day or just after Father's Day, we get that switch flip. I wonder if it's going to be like that this year.
That's the way it usually goes. People complain. They say, "Where's spring? Where's spring? When is it going to warm up?" And then almost instantaneously, we jump right over spring and into the heat of the summer, which stays with us then right on through the remainder of June, July, August until the hurricanes arrive in September.
Yep. All right, so here's what it looks like at the surface. And you see the GFS has got some heavier rains in Virginia and North Carolina as the radar played out a little while ago. The low in western Kentucky this evening, that low disappears. A new low forms in eastern North Carolina, moves off the New Jersey coast. Uh, Rain is not overly impressive during the day tomorrow, and then that low just sort of lingers there. In fact, the GFS actually tries to swing back some rain Thursday morning from southeastern New England back to Long Island to about New York City during the morning hours. But then finally, the low does get out of the way. So, as I said, it'll probably be slow improvement first in areas inland and last at the coast. So, we'll squeeze in a decent Friday, and then here comes the next low in Missouri that goes up into in Indiana. Uh, the model has some renegade rain that runs up Saturday afternoon. I don't know how real that is, but even if it's not, we're going to see clouds certainly increasing. And then this low does the same thing. It's going to go out just underneath us to our south. You see the primary low goes into Ohio, reforms right along the North Carolina coast on Sunday. We get into rain Sunday, late Saturday night into Sunday night. And now here we are Monday afternoon, and it's still raining here on Monday. I mean, this is going to take its time getting out of the way. This is not going to be, this is, people are going to be really upset here before it's all said and done if we can't string together 2 nice days in a row. Once that low finally pulls out sometime Monday night or early Tuesday, we get a dry day. And then here comes the next cold front for Wednesday night and Thursday with some showers. And then let's see what is Friday, getaway day looks okay. Saturday, weak front with a couple of showers. Sunday looks okay. Monday, Memorial Day, weak front with some showers. And on it goes.
Well, I'm looking at the at CPC, which is still continuing the trend of generally near to above normal precipitation.
Would you like to share this with
Well,
with everybody in the class?
Yes, it's depressing, but if you want me to,
Oh, yes, go ahead and share so I can get a glass of water.
I'll. Well, let me go. Let me get the share screen up and so um, let's show you the. I'm going to backtrack here and go to the 6 to 10 day outlook. 6 to 10 day outlook from the 20th through the 24th. Now that would be from next Monday through next Friday of next week. Shows above normal temperatures across a good part of the eastern and central United States. In fact, well above normal down here in southern sections of Texas, and also pretty well above normal if you're down across Florida, which we already mentioned is having a heck of a spell of warm nights with those temperatures only in the 80s for nighttime lows in Key West and Fort Lauderdale. As far as precipitation, there's a little bit of a break here. I mean, what is this like 80%? At least 80% of the country is in the above normal zone, right along the Atlantic seaboard, near normal precipitation. So maybe we'll get a little bit of a break, and maybe a couple of those days next week will actually be dry and warm or unseasonably mild. But then we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook. Now the 8 to 14 takes us to just beyond Memorial Day. And you can see that the temperatures trend a bit downward. We have near normal temperatures from the 22nd through the 28th. 28th is what? The day after Memorial Day. And as far as precipitation is concerned, well, what else? Here it is. Looks like now 90% of the country will be above normal precipitation wise, especially so in the nation's midsection. In fact, Joe, the hazards outlook, the 8 to 14 day hazards outlook shows in this zone, this is for, this is a slight chance of excessive rainfall, and that would be from the 22nd through the 25th. Oh, isn't that wonderful? That encompasses a part of the upcoming holiday weekend, and that would be for, well, from about Chicago to St. Louis down to Little Rock, Arkansas, to the west into Kansas and Nebraska, and down into northern Louisiana. So the central part of the nation, CPC is targeting above normal to possibly heavy precipitation for at least a part of the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Now, elsewhere, we're thankfully not in that particular area here in the tri state area, but still, we may see some showery weather here over the Memorial Day weekend as well. We'll have to wait and see. And again, they're stressing up here that word experimental. So we'll see if that indeed does all pan out for again the 22nd through the 25th of this month. And again, the 8 to 14 day outlook showing temperature wise near normal here in the Northeast, above normal further south, and well above normal across the Southland from Florida to the Gulf coastal area. And precipitation wise, for the period from the 22nd to the 28th. Like I said, about 90% of the country with above normal probability of precipitation, and especially so over the central part of the nation. The only place that will see below normal probabilities would be in portions of Arizona and New Mexico. Joe.
All right. And the Pacific, the East Pacific tropical weather outlooks actually started yesterday, and this is on their 7 day. I mean, they started because they've got this disturbance that they're watching. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. They would start them up tomorrow. But they're still talking about low pressure forecast to form along a trough several hundred miles to the south or southwest of the Gulf of Tehuantepec by the middle or to latter portion of this week. Thereafter, some gradual development is possible as the low moves slowly to the west northwest, remaining south of the coast of Mexico through early next week. And they have a 30% chance that this could be developed into a tropical cyclone, which in May in the East Pacific is not that unusual. Okay, it's a little unusual in the east, in the Atlantic side, but not unusual on the Pacific side. So anyhow,
Well,
what happened with the dog, by the way?
I went upstairs, and what I did was I just simply closed the front door. He can see out through the front door. So I just simply closed it so he can't see anything, and I turned on the kitchen light. So now he's settled down apparently.
Okay, good. So, who has Briller Jeopardy tonight? I do.
I
I think
believe I
or do I, or do
I
you?
believe I think I do. Let me just see.
Uh, yes, you do. Yesterday we did the 10 driest states. That was me.
So guess what we're going to probably have tonight?
Um, I don't know the ten hottest states,
And wettest states.
the 10 wettest states.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to just check to make sure. I did catch a brief glimpse of this. Hi, Joe, on this Briller Jeopardy. What are the 10 rainiest states in the United States? The 10 rainiest states
All
in the
right. Well, we'll let the chat board do this again because they did so well. Anthony starts it off with Florida.
Florida is number 5.
Rich Rothmansky and Paul Reed add Hawaii.
Hawaii on this list is number 1.
Keith Smolin, Louisiana.
Louisiana is number 2.
Vincent Croce, I'm going to think that it's not on the list. Texas.
Texas is not on the list.
Right. Remember, just like with the other ones, you got to average the whole state. So it's real wet in the east and real dry in the west. Um, let's see. Just get let's Maggie P. Same logic for Oregon. I bet you Oregon is not on the list,
Nope, Oregon is not on the list.
and neither is the state of Washington.
Washington is not on the list either.
Rich Rothmansky throws out Georgia.
Georgia is number 7.
Frank R. throws out Alabama.
Alabama is number 4.
John Melander throws out Mississippi.
Mississippi?
Hmm.
Mississippi is number 3.
Anthony and Jason, do we do Louisiana?
Yeah, yes, we do.
We
We
did.
did
Okay, we did Louisiana.
Louisiana
So how many do we have left?
4.
John Melander says South Carolina.
South Carolina, number 10 on this list.
Chuck Cardillo says North Carolina.
North Carolina is number 9 on the list.
So how many left?
2.
Owen Daniel says Ohio.
Ohio, not on the list.
Maggie P says Arkansas.
Arkansas is on the list. Arkansas is number 8.
And Christinapedia says Virginia.
Virginia, no, not on the list.
Okay, so how many do we have left?
1.
And which number is it?
I'm not sure if this is in order of merit, let's say, but it's number 6. It's right in between Florida and Georgia.
William Uber says Tennessee.
Chumley, you are absolutely right. Tennessee will not fail. Number
So
6.
okay, so in review, Joe, read the states out.
From 1 to 10, starting with number 1, Hawaii, followed by Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, and the Carolinas, North and South.
Very good. What was for dinner tonight?
Excuse me?
What was for dinner tonight?
We had chicken.
What kind of chicken?
It was roast chicken.
A roast whole chicken?
Actually, it came in pieces. I think she went to ShopRite and I mean, instead of going to Kentucky Fried Chicken, she went to ShopRite and she says it's much better than Kentucky Fried Chicken. And we got chicken pieces. I mean, like legs, wings,
Oh,
breasts.
okay. Was already cooked, or you had to cook it?
No, it's already cut. What are
Already
you,
cooked.
crazy? You're gonna give me the chance to cook a chicken?
Well, I mean, I had I picked up a small butterfly leg of lamb, I made it in the cast iron skillet with olive oil and curry butter, along with some rosemary and paprika, garlic, and salt. So I did that. I got some yellow potatoes and I baked them. Um, I don't know if you're a fan of cottage cheese. I am, so I put cottage cheese on my baked potato. Although I had sour cream, I could have done that.
I
But
love sour
oh,
cream to me.
I love sour cream too. I mean, but I decided to just have it with cottage cheese. So that was my and that didn't take very long. Vincent Croce pork tenderloin. Yeah, the local supermarket had pork tenderloin on sale the other day for 2.99 a pound. So I bought like six of them and threw them in my deep freeze. So because I like pork tenderloin, I cook it medium rare on the cast iron skillet in the top of the stove, and it's such a lean piece of meat, and it really does taste good, especially if you have it a little bit pink inside. Okay, so now that we got everybody hungry, especially if you didn't have a good dinner like I did, the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast tonight, as it is every night, brought to you by. No, it's not, Paul Reed. Pork medium rare is not dangerous, okay? It's not. That's like 30 years ago it was, okay? I don't know why that fallacy still hangs. Tempest by Weather Flow. Get the revolutionary. You stop food poisoning. Go away. Tempest by Weather Flow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the description of this podcast. Use the coupon code Winter 2024. If you do, you will get.
10% off.
I
No,
mean,
I'm not.
really, I love these people. It's like, oh, you guys, it's going to get food poisoning. Oh, you're going to get sick. You're going to get this. Oh, stop. Okay, stop. It doesn't work that way. They get you all bent out of shape because you hear about this sort of stuff, and it's like, there's 300 million people in this country. 12 people get out of 300 million, get something out of it. And oh my Lord, have mercy. Make sure you cook your meat to shoe leather, because you're gonna die. Stop.
And to all those people on the chat board, no, I don't cook. I heavily rely on my wife. She is the cook of the family. She's the everything in the family. So,
Aldi is 3.39 on their website. I'm sure it was cheaper when I paid 2.99 a pound at the local. Well, I usually don't go to the supermarket chain in this one of the chains in the south here is Ingles. And big store, a lot of stuff in there, very expensive. Their prices are just outrageous. But we do have an Aldi's, but they happen to have pork tenderloin on sale for 2.99 a pound, which is usually if I could get it at Costco, that's what I would pay for it. So, I picked it up at the local supermarkets. I took advantage of the lower prices. So there. Ingles, Ingels, Ingles.
is that where Ma and Pa Ingalls is with half pint and
No,
right across
that's I think that's A double L GALLS
oh, golf?
INGALLS. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I had this channel. I forgot what channel it was on as I have direct TV stream. But it was like one of these obscure channels that you don't see very, that you might not have. But they did a Little House on the Prairie marathon over the weekend.
Oh, wow.
I know, I know Christina Petty is a big Little House fan. Um,
I love the fact that the very last one they made, the villain was the Pathmark Man.
oh, right, yes,
The guy who played the guy who was on the Pathmark commercials
and
for like,
he was also the bad real estate guy in Poltergeist,
and I think also he was in MASH, the not the TV show, but the
the
movie.
movie. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, you know who's waiting for me right now?
AJ
No,
Harry.
Harry. They've been they're in the last couple of seasons, and I thought I had binge watched all of them, but apparently there were some missing episodes um, that were not available on Freevee. So I've been watching those. So I've actually gotten to see a few episodes that I've never seen before. And of course, Berger loses the case anyway.
Well, and he especially got hot headed on the very last Fade to Black episode.
Right. And Earl Stanley Gardner was the judge in that episode.
Right, right. In
Yeah, the
fact,
case,
a lot of behind the scenes people made cameo appearances in that final
yes,
episode.
the case of the final fade out.
Right, with Dick Clark.
Yes, exactly. All right, folks, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow at the usual shopping time at 7:35 p.m. Eastern. Bye
And
bye.
hopefully the dog won't be barking.
Well, if he is, we'll deal with it.
Bye bye and
But,
bye bombs.
yes.